Hello there, and as usual, I'm Aaron from Let's 10 Gamers, and welcome. So today we're going to be talking about how you can do a dusty, weathered sort of camouflage scheme like you see here on my MP5. Now, a few of you in a previous video when I showed this camouflage requested how I actually did it. Luckily enough, a friend of mine bought an MP5 as well, and we're going to dust that up today and turn it into this sort of effect. Now, the first thing I want to talk to you about when it comes to painting one of these is that it will lower the value of the actual gun itself. So don't be putting this up for sale afterwards going, oh, I'm going to expect to get the same price as if it was in pristine, unpainted condition, because it's going to lower the value. And just because you think the camouflage looks good, don't think that other people will make it just as good themselves. So this is the gun we're going to be working with today. You can see it's a basic MP5. This particular model is a TM high cycle. You can feel it in your hand, it's very light, very plasticky, but at the same time, from a distance, it still reflects that plasticky look, and we can get rid of that by adding some paint, adding a bit of texture to it, as well as rubberizing both the grip and the stock. Probably wondering how we're going to do that. We're going to use this thing called Plaster Dip. Basically, Plaster Dip will add a rubbery sort of texture to these features, and then we'll paint over it in the dusty camouflage effect. So let's guide you through the process. So one of the first and probably most important things before you wreck your gun is tape up your stuff. So in this particular model, I want to tape off my iron sight, so I'm going to tape in this area with a little bit of clear electrical tape. So with this sort of electrical tape, you can see where you've taped. We're going to tape up the muzzle end, so no paint goes into the barrel and going to ruin performance. And in this particular model, I'm also going to tape up where the bolt charges. If you've got sights, tape over the optics. Don't do what some people do, spray the gun, and then they can't see through their optics at all. That is ridiculous. Anyway, let's get taping. So we've just quickly taped it up. We've covered the important areas: the trigger, the barrel, the sights, because you don't want your sights being painted over and not being able to see what you're shooting at. First thing we're going to do, take this outside, plaster dip the handguard, and also plaster dip the stock. So let's go. So what we've done is we've just sanded the part down. That's quite important because we need to get the texture a little bit rough so the plaster dip and the paint will stick to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 layers of plastic dip. So it's going to be quite simple. I'm just going to hold this. I'm not too fussed about my hand getting covered in plastic dip because I can just peel it off and it's quite fun. But apart from that, we're just going to do a few coats. You want to make sure your can is quite level on the area. I'm in quite a small area here, so it's going to be a bit difficult, but we'll see what we can do. So we'll just apply the first layer in this direction here. Okay, so we've just got like a very small layer, so that's going to be used to actually get the grip of the rest of the paint on. So you can see it at the moment, it doesn't look too good. Once we get the more layers on, it will start to build up. So we're going to start by painting it with the vertical lines going in different diagonal patterns. I'm going to start with a brown, and then I'm going to use the sand colour. Now notice as I'm doing this, I'm quickly rubbing it off with the actual textured. We've got a piece of jean here that's been cut off, and I'm rubbing most of the paint away, and this is just creating this weathered effect. But at the same time, it's creating this very unnatural sort of camouflage pattern that I quite like. Now the second thing we want to do is we want to make sure we cover the top and the bottom areas, because when a gun's not painted properly and it's all black at the top or all black in a certain area where it's not actually been coloured correctly, it looks really stupid. So one of the things that you probably noticed is I have used one colour directly after the other. And what he's creating is he's mixing the two paints together and creating a mid-ground between the brown and the desert tan colour, allowing for a rather interesting and muddy effect. Because if you imagine in that environment, them two colours are going to get mixed together and create different tones and textures. So one thing I wanted to show you is this. This is an example of a bad paint job, where you don't want to do. This thing looks absolutely horrible. The green and the tan combination, this was painted when I just grabbed some spray paint and decided to paint something. The worst idea possible. Make sure you plan out what you're going to paint, or you'll end up with something like this. Coming around the field with this, it's just going to get you laughed at. The guy will die of laughter rather than die of a hit. Anyway, let's continue on. So this is a great little thing you can do to your guns to add a little bit of character to them. You can see that the effect on both of them is slightly a bit different due to that one being metal on the left and this one being plastic in tone. Devaluing the gun, but at the same time making it really cool. Now one more thing I want to add is I've added the Airsoft playlist in the link to the description below. Check that out and check out some of the awesome gameplay videos. I'll see you next time.